All right, so we are live, I believe. So I'm going to wait for people to start letting us know that we are live to them because it looks like we're live to us. So let's see. Let's make sure we got people coming up in here, waiting for the comments to start rolling in. And then once the comments start rolling in, then we can go. So,
You're so popular.
oh, I
I like
know.
your coffee mug.
Thank you. This is so I got obsessed with this because I saw this on an episode of Friends and I was like, I want that mug. And it had that whole like, like Luna with the stars and all this other stuff. So I thought that was weird, and I was like, what is that all about? So I wanted it so badly, and everywhere I would look, I could not find it. And I was like, okay, Friends mug, like stars, Friends mug, and so I finally found it on, what was it? I found it on Etsy, I think, or eBay. And it's Libby glass, so it's like a specialized kind of glass. And apparently it's really hard to find because they don't make them anymore. But they're specifically like they're from Friends. So if you ever look at an episode of Friends and you see them drinking out of a glass, that's the freaking glass. That's the glass that I got it. So yeah.
Is that
Hey
the glass
everybody.
like that they used to use at the Central Perk?
No, 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 no. The Central Park one is a different one. Like that was the glasses from their apartment, the cups, the mugs from their
Mm-mm.
apartment. That, yeah. If you ever look at the mugs from their apartment, from Monica's apartment, that's the one that was in there. So,
You're so cute.
oh, I know, I know, I know. It's my specialty. Yeah, I had to have it. It's like one of those things where it's like I feel obsessed with it. So hey everybody. So I'm seeing the chats now. So I was waiting for all of y'all to start popping in here because I wasn't seeing the comments yet, and because we're doing this through Restream, it takes a few seconds to kind of get all the comments and everything. So hello everybody. All right, so I'm back with Michelle. Hey girl,
Hey,
how did
I'm
your day
here.
go? How did your day go?
Okay, so I mean, I just had so many opportunities to use my new anxiety tools. Um, just like I really need to spend so much time by myself, and just it's
Hmm.
impossible with my kids. So, it was a regular day. Like we went to go get some candles, and I'm like finding that I can't find my candles because there must be a shortage. Like everything that I've been trying to
Mm.
buy is like on COVID restriction or something. So
Right.
I went to the dollar store because I was like, okay, let me see if they have them because I like the 7 day, the tumbler ones.
Hmm.
So they had some. So Michaela was, of course, trying to get all of her little gizzy
Mm.
goos, and she got a cop thing, like a
Hmm.
fake police officer. She wants to be a cop. God bless her.
Mm.
But then we went to go pick up Terrence, and he was in a bad mood at the basketball court. And like we had just watched Star Wars. I think we were watching. I don't know which episode, but it was like the one where Anakin sort of starts like breaking away from Obi-Wan, and he was like,
Mm.
I really feel like I'm more like Obi-Wan. And I was like, I feel like you've had a lot of good growth, and I can see that, like you're controlling your emotions and that kind of thing. And then I got to the park and he got mad, and I saw him push over a chair, and I said, I see you using that Anakin energy out there.
That's what we're gonna call it now, Anakin energy. Oh my
Right?
gosh. Mm-mm.
So yeah, it was okay though. How about you?
My day was good. My week has been good. Today was like a long day, so I had a lot of appointments, and then I woke up this morning and I was so tired, and I was like, it's because today is my Friday, right? So Saturdays are always my Fridays, because then I get to chill tomorrow a bit, even though I'm doing the study group tomorrow. But I'm thinking of it as like church now, because I've never been the
Yeah.
type to like do church every Sunday. I think when I was growing up, or when I was a kid, like we were doing more of that. But then like now that we've gotten older, I just don't really go, like I don't do the whole church thing now. So for me, it's a little bit different. So I am trying to see it as like, you know what, this is almost like connecting and like going to church every Sunday, except the church is here with us. Like we are the
Right.
church, right? Like what we said last week in
Yes.
our miracle seminars. So I am looking forward to today so I can chill for a little bit. I tried to get most of my work done this morning so that way once I'm like done, and all I have to do is just like last minute stuff, and then I can go for my walk, chill, and then relax for the rest of the night. So I've been watching
Mm-hmm.
Pose. Like every night we've been watching episodes of Pose. Have you seen Pose yet?
I haven't watched it, but I think I need to because remember
Mm,
that Tu Wong Fu movie?
yeah. Well, yeah, that's like an epic movie from like the for the gays.
Well, like I was just like randomly obsessed with it when I was a kid. Like I just loved the glamour of it and the cars and like the friendship and the quest, all of
Mm-hmm.
it. So like I feel like I need to watch more drag stuff.
Mm-hmm.
you know. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think I'll check it.
No, that's like one of my favorite movies. Like Tu Wong Fu, I've got like three or four favorite movies. It's like Tu Wong Fu. I've also got what is the other one? Under the Tuscan Sun. It's another one. It's one of my feel good movies. So Under the Tuscan Sun, Tu Wong Fu, Twister is one of them. Um, and yeah, I don't even know why. Because I mean, the acting and stuff is not like it's incredible acting. I mean, it's a good movie, but it's not like it's just like oh my god. But it was a blockbuster, and it was one of those movies where like you grew up on it, and then after you grew up on it, it kind of like you keep wanting to have that experience. So I watch it once or twice a year intentionally,
Mm.
and then I also watch like uh, what is it? That other movie with the Frozen, not Frozen, but where the world is freezing. Um, um,
Oh,
what is it called? The one where everybody's
ooh.
freezing.
With Jake Gyllenhaal and
Yes,
Dennis
yes,
Quaid.
that one. Yeah, which is funny because
Yeah,
it's like at the tip of my tongue. I can't remember it. But that movie,
I
yeah. So I
know.
watched that once a year, which is funny because again, it's not like it's this like incredible movie, but it's one of those movies where like I just like the feel of it. Independence Day, same thing. I mean, like it's just these like handpicked movies from like the '90s that and the early 2000s that I just kind of like latched onto, and I never really so I intentionally watched them. But Tu Wong Fu was one of them, and Romy Michelle's High School Reunion. That's my other. That's
Yes, me too. Oh
my
my god,
baby
I knew you
girl.
were gonna
That
say
yeah, I
that. Oh my
love
god.
Romy and Michelle. Yeah, I
We
can.
need to have
I'm
movie
the.
night.
Yeah, I can be Romy. You can be Michelle, though. You know, because you're
Okay.
Michelle, right? I
Oh,
love Romy and
she's so
Michelle.
dingy,
Yeah, yeah, I
but I
love
love
it.
her.
Yeah, like that's
Oh,
one
oh
of the
my
movies that
god,
my
I love that
sister
movie.
we both watch it like we used to watch it like obsessively, and it wasn't that popular in the movies when it came out in theaters because it was
Mm-mm.
like one of those movies where people went to go see it and they were like, it's whatever, and I didn't
Right.
understand. I didn't understand the references because I wasn't old enough to grasp some of their references. And now as an adult, I'm like, oh, I totally get the references. And like, I didn't
Oh
know
my
what
god.
mono was. What was mono? Like, I know what mono is. So,
Yeah. I
mm-mm,
love that movie. And like you said, like I randomly had it on VHS tape and
mm-hmm.
watched it obsessively. Like I had some weird picks, but yeah, that was one too. But I feel like we need to have a movie night and watch some of those
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah. Those are the best. Those are the best. Well, everybody, whoever's watching, oh, look, Lisa's like, I love Romy Michelle. Yes. The Day After Tomorrow. That's what it was called. The Day After Tomorrow. People are telling me about
Okay.
it. Yeah. That's what it was called. Yeah. And people don't know this, but The Day After Tomorrow is actually based on a book called The Coming Global Superstorm, which was written by
Mm.
Whitley Strieber and Art Bell. Art Bell used to have a late night radio program, and it's one of the programs that was always talking about conspiracies and aliens and
Hmm.
ghosts and all that other stuff. Sylvia Brown was on there, and so it's one of those shows where a lot of truckers, like truck drivers, know about it because when they're driving at night, they would listen to the show and they'd call in. So you'd call into the Art Bell show. I loved Art Bell. But yeah, so the Art Bell show, that was my first introduction to like a lot of the paranormal stuff because they talked about it so often, and it's not something that you can find like everywhere. If you can catch it on maybe one of like the 2020 programs or Unsolved Mysteries, then it'd be there. But I would just tune in. I would like stay up at night listening to it because it's a 4 hour radio program, and
Wow.
but I loved it. It was like the best. So, but he's since passed away. But he and Whitley Strieber, the guy who wrote Communion. Have you seen that movie Communion about the aliens being abducted? Well,
Mm-mm.
they were buddies, and Willie Strieber had his own radio program, and they got together and they created the book called "The Coming Global Superstorm." And they were talking about how, at some point, Mother Nature's fury would be unleashed because everything with all of the oceans, the temperatures, everything would shift, and as soon as that happened, it would become this like unending chain of events, and all of a sudden we'd start to go into another ice age because they believed that the ice age was caused by a instability with the Earth's oceans and all of the I don't want to call it global warming because that's not the right word, but climate change. So that's what they were talking about, and they put that in the book, and so the movie was
Thanks.
built, or the movie was about what happened there. So yeah, so it's a pretty good book. But yeah, well, you ready to
It was
get
good.
goss?
It scared me a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's one of those
Let's
things.
knock it out.
Yeah. Well, so let's gossip a little bit. Let's gossiping is what we're calling it. Gossiping. So let's talk about Kanye and Kim Kardashian and all of that craziness there, because it's a really great segue into mental health and coping with a lot of the crap that
Mhm.
we're all dealing with. So, what do you think
Right.
about that whole situation?
Um, I think that this is not the first time that Kanye has had like an episode. Like, I don't know. I think she said he had bipolar. Like, did you see that she had
Mm,
come out and like made a statement where she was like asking everybody
mm,
to respect what was going on and like how
mm,
heavy it could be dealing with a partner who has or a family member who has bipolar. And I don't think this is the first time that he's had an episode publicly. Like maybe we just didn't know
yeah.
that he was. Well, we didn't know he was bipolar. Now we know, of course. But like some of his tweets were like he was talking about like he didn't want Kim to sell the kids into like sex trafficking. That's what I was gathering from it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was just like, okay, like what is he experiencing that is causing him to go there? You know, like
Yeah.
I can't even imagine being married to somebody having that kind of episode. You know, like
Yeah.
I mean, I have family members who have mental health issues. I mean, I have anxiety, but
Mm,
like that is difficult to deal with. So like I don't know. Like if I was Kim, I probably would have been like, I don't have to take this.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think it's hard for. I think I really related to her coming back and trying to like do some damage control there, because I
Mhm.
totally get that, like what that's like to have to deal with like a family member who's mentally ill.
Yeah.
And of course, with people who are mentally ill, especially like my mother, she's a schizophrenic. My sister is bipolar,
Mhm.
so that all of that runs in a lot of different places. But with the schizophrenia, I think it's tough because if your parent or your family member is not stable, either because the medicine
Mhm.
isn't right or because they haven't been properly diagnosed, they will act crazy and their behavior can be on a spectrum. Luckily for me, my mom was not a violent schizophrenic. My mom has a differentiated schizophrenia, which means she has a little bit of the three major categories. And so one of them, I think, is paranoia, where you get super paranoid. Another one, I think, there's three different varieties. I did a paper on this in college, so I don't remember some of this,
Mhm.
but she never got violent.
Yeah.
She made no sense, and she was paranoid. She would talk about how people were following her, or people were like paying attention to her, or everybody was against her. Like everybody was against her, and everybody was like trying to target her, and nobody understood her. So it's almost like a victim, but like on a whole nother level of victimhood. And
Right.
so she went in that mode, and she used to tell us like the voices, they're telling me to get the knives and to cut people or to stab them. So even though she had voices telling her to do things, she never took action. And
Yeah.
my because we like in our family, mental illness was not something we addressed as a real issue. Like you're either sick or you're not sick. But sick is
Right.
like you have a broken foot or you have an illness or whatever. But they never considered mental illness as an actual illness or condition. And so
Mhm.
for my mom in the beginning stages, they thought she was just possessed by the devil or she was possessed.
Mm.
And so they took her to a curandera, which my aunt at the time knew a curandera, which is a Hispanic, like kind of a shaman
Yeah.
or a witch doctor. And they took her to a curandera. That nothing came from that. And then they took her to a church. They tried to exorcise her. That didn't work. Yeah, they
Right.
tried to exercise her ass. So then they were like, something's wrong. And they took her to the hospital, finally took her to the hospital. And of
Okay.
course, that's when they were like, she has a mental illness. She's got schizophrenia. So it made no sense to them, but to me it made sense, which is interesting because I actually did research in my family history, and my grandfather's father, my great grandfather, he had dementia. He suffered from dementia and had a psychosis, and he had it like at
Mhm.
50, which is really young, back in like the 70s, I think. So I'm like, y'all already, and he died in a hospital. So I'm like, y'all already had to deal with some form of mental illness or a condition. How did y'all not think this was a mental illness, y'all? So they got her diagnosed. She was in and out of institutions for several years. They finally stabilized her, over medicated her, and then she came home, and then she was like a zombie. And like, so mom for years was
Yeah.
like, she just sit
Mhm.
there and stare out at the ceiling or at the wall or whatever. And it wasn't until we started messing with her medications and to bring down her dosage that now she actually can interact and engage with us. So it's one of those things where we had to kind of figure it out along the way. And I think that with people like Kanye, I think because this may not be something that was kind of on their radar. And I think as people get
Yeah.
older or as they go through extreme circumstances, that can change. And I think he's just gotten more ill and more unstable because they're probably not keeping up with him. And he probably has, knowing Kanye, he probably, and I don't really know him personally or know him too well, but he doesn't seem like the kind of person that likes to be told what to do or likes people to be kind of manhandling him. And so if someone says take your medication, I don't know if he's taking his medication. No, all I need is some Jesus, then I can get there, And so okay, but I
Yes.
think that it's hard to control someone like that. And then if you're not with them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you really can't control them. And I think the reason why you don't hear much about him in certain periods is because he is stable. And it's when he's not
Yeah.
stable is when we start to have these weird, crazy periods where he's reacting or acting out in this way.
Exactly. And like honestly, I saw this in him whenever his mother passed away.
Yeah.
And that was when he was kind of like really on the path of his illness, like really riding that wave. Like he changed instantly.
Yeah.
And I don't think he'll ever go back to the way he was before. Of course, I mean, you can't after an experience like that. But like even the fact that he thought he was going to run for president is a huge signifier that he was having a break.
Yeah.
Because no, like
Yeah.
there's nothing about you that says president right now.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, you want to respect people who think they can be president. I mean, look who's the president right now. I mean, I never thought he was going to be president. But at the same time, like you're not in the right frame of mind for it. Like, he didn't even file the paperwork in all the states that he had to be the president.
Yeah.
Like that right there just lets me know that like he planned this from a manic state.
Well, it's almost just a reacting. Like I'm like this is happening. I'm gonna react. When I react, it's like okay, now I gotta find a way to make sense for y'all because in my head, this moment of what I just did made sense somehow. And so now I gotta make all of y'all. I gotta find a way to make y'all all make sense because y'all are all crazy to tell me that I can't do this or that this isn't real. And I think that's hard because when you're the loved one of someone who's going through a period like that or trying to figure that out, you want to protect them. You want to kind of get ahead of it and like almost shelter or direct them. And at the same time, someone like Kanye, you can't really control someone like that if he's got his own posse and he's got his own money. For my mom, luckily, my sister and I, we're the ones around her that we kind of keep her stuff in check. And even then, we'll have periods where she's like, okay, Mom, what's going on here? I remember like, I think it was last year or the year before that. I went home and I went to see my mom and she just started breaking down crying. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And she hadn't had a break like that in years. So she started breaking down and crying and she's like, y'all don't love me. Y'all don't ever come and see me. And y'all don't care about me. And nobody loves me. Like she was like going into hardcore. And I was like, what the hell is happening? And so her boyfriend, he's the one that is there with her all the time. But he was like, I don't know what's going on, but something's happened. And like it's only been in the last few days. I'm like, okay, something's going on with her medication. So we had to check, and sure enough, there was a mistake in her medication. And once we got her right, she stabilized and went back to normal or back to stability. But it doesn't take very much for her to start going into that spiral of like everything's going down and the world is ending. Like, I mean, it's that easy. So at least my sister and I know what to expect or what to look out for. But with someone like that, where they're just like, they're in the popular eye, there are people out there cheering, hey, yes, Kanye for president. I'm like, there is nowhere in the reality of this universe that this is a good idea, period. There's no
Especially
way.
not after this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so it wasn't gonna work, but it's hard when you're family of that person because you don't know how to really deal with it. And then you love that person, you've had a relationship with this person, and on top of that, they're blasting you on social media. Nobody knows all that's going on behind the scenes with them,
Yeah, and like okay, so my nephew is schizophrenic, and he is very paranoid. And my sister this week when she came over, she's frustrated, stressed because now he's back with her, but like he doesn't have anywhere else to go, and there's not places here where people who have mental health struggles can go live comfortably, make sure that they take their medicine, that kind of thing. What happens is they are out in the street self-medicating with drugs, and they go to jail. then they come back home. So there's
Right.
so much imbalance. Like she said that right now he's wearing an iWatch around his ankle,
Right.
saying that it's an ankle monitor, listening to the police scanner because he really believes that he works for the FBI. No, you don't. And he
Oh, lost her. Sorry, guys, lost her. Let me get back. Let me get her back here because we weren't finished. And guys, I am going to get to y'all in readings. We're going to do them in a few moments. So I just want to. We're going to do it in a little bit. So we're doing the
I'm
conversation first,
sorry.
and then readings
I don't
back.
know what happened.
No, that's okay. Your audio was going in and out, and then so that's all right. We're good. We're good now. I think we're good.
Maybe I'm not supposed to be talking about. No, I'm just kidding. No, yeah. So he really thinks he works for the FBI. He thinks we all work for the FBI. So he doesn't trust us at all. You know,
Yeah.
like I've tried to give him books and things like that just to help him kind of understand like some of what he's going through, but he like refuses
Yeah.
that. So it is very difficult when you are
Yep.
the loved one of
Your
somebody
audio
who
is whack. Something's going on with your audio. Let's see.
I don't know.
Do me for adjust the mic or switch off, switch on, and see if that's.
No.
Oh, it still sounds like it's almost like broken. It almost sounds like it's a broken.
Just go do your thing.
Oh, that's funny. Do me a favor. I'm gonna hang up on you, and I want you to turn off the Skype and then turn it back on, and then I'm gonna do the same thing with Skype as well.
Okay.
All right. Let's drop that one real quick, y'all. Sorry about that. So, technical difficulties, of course, as usual. We had some last week, and we were able to work through it last year. But last week was a bit of a pain in the ass. So, and I am gonna read y'all. I know y'all are like, "What are you talking about? Aren't you gonna do readings?" Yeah, I'm gonna do readings, guys. We're doing like a 30-minute like start to do this, and then we're so we can talk and kind of get our flow going. And then after that, I'll start doing all of y'all's readings. So don't worry, I'm gonna give y'all time. But this is the new platform, so we'll be doing this every week. Okay? So let's see. Let me see if I can get her back on here. All right, so thank you, Jetali. I appreciate that. Yeah, we're going to use this for a new series that we're working on for a show. So I want to make sure that we have a clear connection because we're going to use it for something. So, all right.
What about now?
You sound great now. What's all that about?
I don't know. I mean,
Okay.
I'm telling you, I always have these issues with technology.
You what?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. It gets a little bit staticky or like freezes a little bit and then it starts to clear up again. All right, so you were saying, go back to the beginning because I heard like a fraction of what you talked about, but you were talking about your nephew is schizophrenic and then that's where you left off.
Yeah. Well, I was just saying that like he doesn't trust us and he self-medicates with street drugs. And so it makes his imbalance worse.
Mm-hmm.
But there's not really any place for him to go except for at home. But he won't listen to us, you know. So he fights us. He gets violent, and he will go back to jail because, like, what are we supposed to do, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, I can't imagine if he had gobs of money. Like, he would be so out of control. Like, we wouldn't be able to do anything. Like right now, like I said, he thinks he works for the FBI for real. So he's wearing the iWatch around his ankle.
Yeah.
Says it's an ankle monitor. Listening to the police scanner. You know, walking up and down the street. You know, like he's really sick, but he won't take his medication. So I mean, it's very difficult.
That's tough. Yeah, that's tough because if as long as they're, you know, a lot of people, they think of like mental illness or immediately when they start having these experiences, the first thing they want to say is what spiritually is happening to me, or this must be a spiritual problem. And I'm like, I've dealt with mental illness. I know what that looks like. I've dealt with spiritual issues. I know what that looks like. You need to go to see a doctor because it's not always a spiritual condition or a spiritual issue. It may actually be a physiological condition that is affecting the person's mind or their comprehension or their psyche. And that's rough because you never want to tell somebody, I don't think you've got some spiritual issues. I think you're going crazy. I need you to go to the doctor.
Right.
How do you say that? How do you say this to somebody who doesn't even want to acknowledge and not only that, like we have a woman in our neighborhood, because when you ever go to Nextdoor, have you ever gone to Nextdoor, the app? Oh my God, it's the funniest and sometimes the most amusing conversations on there. But there was a woman who, she was like, everybody keeps telling me I'm crazy and that I'm ill. I'm not ill. The government is following me and they're trying to keep an eye on me and they're trying to watch everything that I'm doing. And so she posted a picture of her following like firefighters and police officers in the store, getting close, taking pictures of them, because she's like, this is an agent this is an agent for the government and this or that and that and this. And I'm just like, okay. And then she's like taking pictures of planes, like actual like airliners going by. Look, they're flying over my house because they're wanting to keep an eye on me. Like, that's a freaking, like, that's like Southwest girl. Like, that is not a special plane for just you. You're nobody. You're nothing. You have nothing. There's nothing connecting you to be anything, any of that stuff. So logically, that doesn't fit. But in her mind, it is. In her mind, it makes perfect sense. And there's really nothing you can do to someone or for someone when they're stuck in that. And so, like, there's all you can do is just do the very best. But every person's situation is going to be different. And sometimes you just have to, like, force it. Even if the person doesn't want, like, I remember my mom, like when they took her to the hospital and they put her in the institution, she just broke down and started crying. And I remember it, like when she was walking in the corridor, she turned back and looked at me and she said, she's just crying. She's like, don't leave me in here. Don't let them leave me in here. I'm like 11 years old. Like, what the hell am I supposed to do? Like my grandpa's there, my aunt's there. And she's like, don't let them let me stay in here. Please don't leave me in here, please. And she's like begging me to help her. And I'm like, I can't help you, And I'm not in a position where I can do anything. And I'm just trying to figure out what's going on because I didn't even understand what mental illness was at that age. I was just trying to wrap my head around everything that was going on with mom. So, but
I'm sorry.
No, but I think right now it's the most important thing because a lot of people are struggling right now. I think a lot of people, whoever's still, isolating or whoever's trying to stay away from crowds or groups of people, whoever's like doing the right thing, wearing their masks and like not trying to be all up in crowds of people swimming at a party or whatever. It's hard because you are lonelier and you do have less engagement with people. You do have, and some of these people who cannot handle it, like they've lost their shit. I have one person that I know, and she's like, I'm going to commit suicide because if this is the way it's going to be from now on, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm just like, oh my God. And it's hard because that's someone who by nature should be a stronger person because she puts herself out there like, I'm the strong motherfucker and I can get things done and all this other shit. And I'm a spiritual, badass. But then a few weeks under COVID, like you're falling apart and shit's breaking. But it's the reality. Like a lot of people don't realize that they also struggle with mental illness. They don't realize it until they're stuck in these kinds of situations where they don't have a choice but to cope the best way that they can.
Right. I mean, I think that's just like really why I feel like we talked about this once before. Maybe I'm having
it sounds familiar. Yeah,
but that's why you gotta like figure out your good coping tools. Like, what are the ways that you can have? Like with my anxiety, if I allow the old way, I will be drunk first. I will also be miserable, have a negative disposition, and be like, the sky is falling. I can't believe COVID-19. You know what I mean? Like, I will be there. Like, I have to, like, redirect. Like, if I start to get overwhelmed or feel stressed, I'm like, okay, first of all, which of these things are really about to happen? Like, first of all, me and the kids are not about to explode. You know what I mean? Like, we're okay. You know, like, because that's kind of what happens is, like, we see the worst possible scenario, and then you're there. Like, just take a step back, do some breath work, you know, like, it's so hard right now. I mean, I actually, like, when I went to the dollar store, I was like, okay, get your mask, all of that, having to get a mask and, making sure that, because Michaela, every time the mask is right here, never covering up her nose. I'm like, if the wrong person breathes on you, we'll have it in our house, but who's going to watch her while I go to the store? It's just me, so it's like all these many different things. And then we're thinking about school starting back up. And like, I'm like, okay, well, I have to work, but I know that you have no understanding of personal space. So you do not need to go to school. So, like, yeah, people who struggle are
Hmm.
struggling right now for sure.
Yeah. Well, this is going to force us to like have to reinvent the way that we live and what we can do and what we can't do. And I think, I really think we're not going to go back to the society of like you go to work and you go to a physical location. Like if you don't have to go to work, this is going to be so much cheaper for so many companies and organizations. They're going to by default say, "Oh my God, we saved so much money by just having operations move to home," and they're not going to go back to having a physical location or like a facility. So I already see that happening. We'll see what happens with the school system. I think that kids will be going back to school, but I'm not thinking it won't happen this year. I'm thinking it's either going to happen next year or like the following year. Like not following year, but the following semester, like August of next year. But I'm thinking around January they may start because I kept seeing the situation where there was going to be like these rolling starts for the new year because I did see the numbers coming down and dropping and so forth, and so I think they were going to be doing these like test phases where they were going to be starting certain types of schools in certain areas that are like less of a threat, and then they were going to continue to start those in the new year. So we'll see how that works out. Okay.
Well, Terrence wants to go.
Mm.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? He does. He wants to go, but like what he's gonna realize is that it's not at all like what he left, and so he's gonna be like, just want to stay at home
Yeah.
because it's gonna be like present. Like they're not gonna have their extracurriculars. They're not gonna be able to hem and haw and do all that hallway stuff. Like they're gonna have to do much different things to keep them from from
Mm-hmm.
commuting.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not going to get what it is that he thinks he's going to get, and so he's probably going to have some kind of experience about his ninth grade year being destroyed or whatever. But like he's just going to have to roll with the punches,
Yeah.
like
I
this is when you came.
I would have loved this. I mean, just personally, I would have loved this because I didn't like going to school. I was teased incessantly, and then I just was uncomfortable going to school and being around kids because I was not comfortable. So I would have loved this
Yeah.
because for me, I'm like, oh, I would have completely avoided the whole bullying phase of my life had I not even just gone to like to physically gone to school. For other people, maybe they had the opportunity to like have a great school experience, but my elementary school, like my elementary years, my middle school, and maybe the first couple of years of high school were really rough for me. After that, I got popular and people started to like me, like, "Oh, Ferny, you're funny," or "Oh, Ferny, you're like entertaining." And I remember like in one class, and this was in high school. I was with a group of girls and I was talking about sex, and the guys on the other side, because the guys always separated themselves from the girls, they were on the other side.
Hmm.
And at that point, I think I already accepted my sexuality, and I was like, "Okay, I'm gay, y'all." But at that time, that one of the guys, he was like, "We can hear you talking about that over here." And I was like, "Oh, good. Y'all need to hear me. Y'all need to listen up then, because y'all going to learn some things today." And like everybody
Okay.
laughed, everybody laughed, and so it was just like I became this likable person, and I found my groove, and so that's when I really started to get a little bit out of my shell and get more comfortable being myself. But it still took years to like decondition all that crap from all the bullying that I had to go through. So
Oh, it was so awkward for me just being like black when everybody was
mm-hmm.
white. And I was like, well, okay, so I just
Mm-hmm.
became myself. And of course, I was the class clown. Everybody liked me. Everybody thought I was personable and funny and engaging and all this stuff. But I was also suffering because I
Yeah.
felt like alone.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody understood me. I was super sensitive. I was always feeling something. So I just like had such a wobbly time in school.
Yeah.
I was the tallest person for like 2 years because I've been this height since I was like 11.
Good lord. Yeah, I blew up. I blew up pretty fast too. So when I don't know where the hell my height came from because my dad was like a little short man. So and my mom is short too. So they're like super short, both of them. And they're like the height of a Oompa Loompa. Both of them were that short. So for me to be as tall as I am, and that's why I always tell my mom, "Are you sure that my dad is my dad?" Because I didn't look like him. He was kind of ugly. The one picture I remember seeing, I was like, "I don't look like him, and I ain't an ugly person." So are you sure that's my daddy? And she's like, "Yes, mijo, that's your dad." I'm like, "Okay, I don't know. Okay, mom, sure, like sure, Jan, sure, Jan." So
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Oh my God, that is such a good example of like mental health struggle. Whenever she had that George Glass episode,
Which class?
Jan Brady,
Oh yes,
remember?
yes, 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 yes. George Glass.
And she
Yeah,
was like, George Glass,
yes,
like,
yeah. He's my
no.
boyfriend. Yeah. Oh God, I love those. Mm-mm. Well, thanks for being with me on my Saturday, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And tell people how to find you so that they can find the podcast.
Okay. You guys can follow at Between Us Girls Podcast on Instagram and on Facebook, it's Between Us Girls the podcast. I'm on hiatus
You're taking a break.
in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yes.
I think everybody's taking a break right now because, like, the first episode of this
Mhm.
show and then also the new podcast episode will pop out in a couple weeks. We all decided from the drama that
Right.
2 weeks is good because before that, not enough time, people are going to go nuts. So, well, I love you all.
Yes.
I love you, and I love all of y'all. I love you. I love Kendall. I love Reagan, Roxy, because without y'all, like, I would go crazy. And I think y'all have made my life so much better. So I just wanted to say thank you. And just having you help me with all the video work that you did this past week was like just so amazing. So I'm like, thank you so much for all that help.
Oh, you're welcome. And I hope that I'm able to work with this too because I know my voice is acting up. So
No,
yeah.
girl, it's good. That's good. We got some good pieces here. All right, well, get off here.
Okay.
Now, let me get through these readings before these people kill me.
All right. Bye, Fernie. Thank
Bye,
you. Bye,
bye,
guys.
bye, Mama. Love you.
Love you too. Talk soon.
All right, guys. So let's get going with the readings because I know y'all are like ready and waiting for that. So I'm going to bounce around here. So as I said, if you want to ask me a question, you go ahead and just ask me a specific question, and I'll try to get to as many of you as I can. I'm not going to be able to answer everybody's questions just because because I'm not everywhere all at once. But I'm going to go through and I'm going to pick some of the questions I'm going to answer. If I skip you, I skip you. Like, don't take it seriously. Don't take it personally. I'm actually bouncing around. I'm not really going in any particular order. If you want to ask me about your life, be specific about your question. So if you're going to ask me about your health and wellness, finances, career and work relationship, be specific about what about that you're wanting to get clarity on or you're wanting to know. Asking me to tell you what do I see or to tell you something or whatever, I'm not even going to waste my time because that would take time to figure out what the hell you want to know. You might as well just get the answers from me as you want them, okay? If you want me to connect with a loved one in spirit, let me know who you want to connect with, and I will try to connect with that spirit and give you any messages or any piece of information that might help you feel the connection to them. I don't see them, I don't hear them, so they are communicating with me through a form of telepathy. It's the same way they connect with you. They just connect with me in a form where they are utilizing my thoughts, my emotions, and my memories. So my job is to use that to try to figure out where they're going with it or what they're trying to say. Okay. All right. So I'm going to bounce around here. So let's do Lisa. Hey, Lisa. All right, so let's do this one here. That's a big one. Whew. Let's see, move this around a little bit. So there we go. Oh, there we go. Okay, so the house I rented in Florida has a bunch of connections to my family name-wise. The people that built the home in the 1930s were named John and Bertha Sanford. My grandparents' names are Bertha and Sanford, and another grandfather named John. Why was I drawn to this particular house? There has to be a reason. That can't be a coincidence. My grandparents are all deceased. So I don't feel like the house itself is directly connected to your family line, but I feel that the energy of the house and the history of this family is similar to the history of your family. So if you start like digging in and looking at the historical records and like uh, how many people were in that family, where they come from, what part of the world, etc. I think there's a lot of parallels or a lot of similarities. I do think that they might be part of the same family line, but they may not. This particular family in the house may not be directly connected to you per se, but I still think that there might be a connection to the family line. Also, I do think that you, not this lifetime, but you might have a past life that might somehow connect to that family line specifically. So there may be a past life connection for you with that specific family. But I don't feel like that family per se is exactly connected to your current family. I think that they're maybe connected to a line somewhere down the road, but if you do the history, you might find some of that information there. Okay. Mariela, let's see, here we go. Hi, Ferny. Do you feel this medication for my OCD uh, com- comli- prom- co- I ain't gonna say it. I'm not even gonna say it, y'all. Is it going to help, or do I need something different? I feel like it might help you a little bit. I think it might give you about a 60 to 70% improvement, but I still think there's gonna be some room for improvement even with that. So I think that what may end up happening is they may end up adjusting this medication dosage, and then they may put you on another dose medication, but like a smaller dose. So you might actually end up with two separate medications for OCD. One of them is this one, the other one is another one, but the other one feels like it also is connected to like depression. So there might be a kind of a dual type of association with the other medication. But I think that you'll end up sticking with this one, but then you might end up taking on a smaller dosage of another one. And then I think that's going to kind of help you a lot more. Okay. Erica Sanchez. Hey, Fernie, I want to know about my love life. I'm admiring a man named Ariel. He is such a great person. Do you see him in my future? I feel like we have a connection. So with Ariel, I do think that he is kind of hooked on someone, or there's someone in his life that he feels a special connection to. I get a sense though that that may be hard for him to move past or to let go. It's almost like if a I had gotten involved with somebody that were my first love, and then I moved on, but I never got past that. I feel like there's someone like that for him. So it may be hard because he might still be stuck on that. And even though you may try to kind of wiggle your way into his life right now, I feel like it may take you more effort, and he may not respond in the way that you're expecting. I do think there's attraction there for sure. So I do think there's sparks there, but you might need to wait for the opportunity to kind of get in there, because I feel like he's not there at this time, at the moment. So keep your eyes open, because his situation, or he might feel differently. I want to say December or maybe January, this coming January. Okay. Da, 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 da. Mia. Hey, Fernie, please connect with my dad. We didn't have the best relationship, and I really need closure. Um, Also, what is he doing in heaven? Thanks. As far as dad is concerned, interestingly enough, thank you. So the first thing I want to talk, thank you. So he's giving me the number 17. So I don't know if January 7th is connected, or the 17th of a month is somehow significant, but he's giving me that number. So there's a connection there. He also keeps acknowledging, thank you. He is doing this. I don't know if he was a bit of a drinker, or he had a tendency of like drinking too much, or he could get into these spells. Either that, or something he was taking was affecting his internal organs, because I feel a little bit off with my internals. So he's making me feel that way as well. He also keeps referencing, thank you. He's talking about a JR or junior, so there might be someone that carries his name, or he might be the junior as well, but he's acknowledging the JR reference. So normally when I see JR or junior, it's usually because someone's got someone else's name, or someone just went by that, but he's referencing that as well. He is acknowledging a picture, and I feel like the picture might be of when you were younger, and there might be like a pinkish colored stuffed animal in the picture. So if you have this picture, if you know of this picture, he may just be acknowledging the picture of when you were younger. He is acknowledging that it sometimes people are told things that they shouldn't always believe, or sometimes people make other people sound worse than they actually are. And with your dad, I feel like there may be some things that you were told, or some things that you heard, that may not be 100% accurate about what was going on with your dad. But at the same time, he also makes me feel like there were other people around that may have affected or added on to the struggle between you and he. So I think that there's more to this, more to it than just you two not getting along or not being on the same page. With that being said, he does say he loves you. He does acknowledge birds, so cardinals are going to be connected to him because he's acknowledging red birds. He also there's a dog with him in spirit, so he's acknowledging a darker colored dog. So there's like a dark dog. I wouldn't say it's black dog, so it's a black dog that's also in spirit with him. So he's acknowledging this dog being with him also. He is referencing. I'm asking him about heaven. Okay, I'm seeing a mechanic shop. I don't know if your dad knew how to deal with mechanics, or there was he'd like to tinker with stuff, or he wanted to fix stuff, but he's showing me like a mechanic shop, almost like fixing things or fixing people. So I think this is what he's doing in heaven, because he makes it sound that way. Whenever they show me that, it usually represents energy. I personally never take it as like this is actually what is happening in heaven. I take it as like this is the energy of what they're doing. And so for me, the idea of fixing stuff or fixing things means that he's working on fixing or working towards repairing things that need to be worked on, whether it's for him or whether it's helping other people in the process. Okay. Aurora Sanchez. Hi, Ferny. Love spending this time with you. Can you tell me about my past lives and does my spirit have a message for me? Yeah, so past lives. So immediately when I think of your past lives, I do think that you may have one past life. Let me see. Close that. I do think there is one past life where you actually were a nurse. So I think that you may have been a nurse in one of your past lives. This would have been in like the late 1800s, early 1900s. But I feel like you would have been a nurse, and it would have been around the time where there was like wartime, and people were like coming back, and they were very injured, and they would have these hospitals where the wounded would be taken after they'd come back or bring them back, and they would essentially be. It's like one of the nurses that would go and like help with all of the different people who were suffering as well. And we're talking about like people with like missing legs and missing limbs. Like it was really bad. So I feel like in one of your past lives you were a nurse. Um, that's the way that I feel about that. Okay. Victorious Majesty Decor. Hi, Fernie. I have been getting so many ideas for business. Do you see me? Do you see a lucrative entrepreneurship for me? Thank you. Yes. So interestingly, I think there is going to be a really great opportunity for you that has to do with apparel or with custom apparel. What I mean by that is there are a lot of people who are now getting into the idea of like creating custom apparel where, for example, like if I wanted to make a shirt, I could like go onto a site, upload a picture or upload an image or a design, and then have them custom made on order. So they're made to order. I feel like there might be something like this that you can actually that you're going to actually get into. It may take you a couple of years. It may take a little bit of time. It does have a little bit of a feeling of like event planning or coordinating, but it's not like you actually event planning or coordinating. It's you planning the stuff around an event. So for example, like if someone's going to have a baby shower and they want people to have like something to take with them or to remember the experience or whatever, it's like you would come in and you would have a package that you'd put together for people where you'd say, okay, like what design do you want for this, and what do you want this to look like, and what do you want that to look like? And so then you would take that and you would offer them a package of like certain things, like, oh, you can have this glass that's going to be, have this on it, or you're going to have this mug, or there'll be this like pen, or there's stuff like that where they're custom things that you would create for people who are celebrating certain like periods in their life, certain events, etc. So like for example, like I once went to this Halloween party when I was younger. It was like the best Halloween party ever, and everybody was so drunk and so like just crazy fun. And the guy who was running the party, he was in love with the Gorillas. Do you remember the song the Gorillas? Dun, 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 that song? Okay. Well, he played it like nonstop the whole night. And at first it was like, what the hell is wrong with you? Why are you playing this over and over again? But then like halfway through the night, everybody was so drunk that everybody was dancing and laughing and cracking up. And it was a good old time. It was like the best party I've ever been to. But had someone had there like a shot glass, like Colin's party, 2003 or whatever, like I would have totally taken that shot. I would have still kept that shot because that was a damn good party. So those kinds of things is what I'm talking about. And I think that you'll get into something like that with a friend or with somebody that you know who may already be working on like events or something like that in about a couple of years. So it may take you a couple of years to get to that point. Okay. Ba, 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 ba. Got Jessica Gonzalez here. How do you see my pregnancy going with this baby? I had preeclampsia with this one, and up to how many weeks will I get to this time? I do think that even though you're talking about preeclampsia, I also think that there might be a little bit of an inconsistency with like the blood flow to the legs, and you might even start to develop a little bit of bruising or something that feels like it's got an issue with one of the legs. I don't even know what that would be called. I also think that you might need to keep an eye on your blood pressure. So I feel like both of those may still come up in regards to the pregnancy. However, I do think that you will get pretty far. I feel like you're going to be early. I do think you're going to be early. I don't think it's going to be as early as you would be worried about, but I still think it's early enough that the baby's probably going to have to need some additional support to get through those last few weeks. I want to say this might be like 3 to 4 weeks early, so this might be a few weeks earlier than would be would be a good thing. But I feel that the baby, I'm assuming that the baby's gonna be fine because I'm seeing the baby, so I'm assuming the baby's gonna be fine. I keep seeing my sister. My sister was she was a preemie. She was like 6 weeks premature, so she was a lot preemie, and she was fine. And I keep seeing my sister, so I'm thinking that the baby will be okay. But I am thinking that you are gonna be early by at least a month. Okay. Lisa Nelson, would I get married to John King next year? Are so contracts set in stone? So contracts are not set in stone. So contracts are more like agreements or arrangements. But that depends on when you get down here because people can make choices to change things and go in another direction. There's stuff that you are kind of slated to go through or to live through, but at some point, you can make a conscious decision that you don't want to go in a particular direction. I'm not feeling confident about the relationship with John as far as like a marriage is concerned. I think that there's going to be a few hiccups. Y'all may actually like go back and forth, or there may be a back and forth off and on thing a couple of times before y'all finally decide whether y'all are going to get married or not. As of right now, I'm not feeling entirely confident with it. However, that can change as well. So, but as of right now, I'm thinking that there's going to be like two breaks or two periods where y'all go back and forth or off and on, and then have to decide if you're going to go forward with a marriage or not. But I'm not confident about it, so I'm not feeling that the best about it. Okay. Samantha. Samantha Darko. Hi guys, is F the one? I feel so strongly for him, and all the odds are against us. But I've never had such a strong connection. So the thing about the connection, first of all, is I don't think this is going to be the person that you end up with. I know you're already going to be like, screw you, Fernando, whatever. That's fine. You can hang up if you want. But I am not feeling confident about this relationship either. I don't feel that y'all will stick it out or stick together. I am seeing two though, so I do think y'all may still continue to be together for 2 years. But I'm not feeling confident about it. But here's the thing: I think that this is a teaching relationship for you. I also think that this person has come into your life because y'all have some past life stuff y'all are working through, and this is the chance to work through it. I also feel that there might be a change. I also feel that there is going to be another person that you'll end up with whose name is with an S, like Scott. But I'm not thinking that F is the one that you're going to end up with. But again, I think that this is more past life related, or y'all have a past life connection. Okay. So what's going on here? I'm getting error messages here, so I might get cut off, y'all. So if I do, my apologies. But I'm trying to work through these here. Um, Sydney D. Will I have a reconnection with Finn or Adam? I think you will have a reconnection with Finn, but it may take to early next year. So I'm not feeling confident about a connection, like a reconnection right now. You might hear it through the grapevine, or you might be aware of stuff through the grapevine, but I'm not thinking there's going to be a reconnect until maybe February or March of next year. A reconnect doesn't mean y'all are going to get back together, or y'all are going to like be in a relationship. It just means y'all may reconnect. But I'm feeling that vibe around early part of next year. Victoria J. Garza. Hi, Ferny. Are there any messages from my dad? So when I tune into the energy of your dad, first of all, I keep hearing music and I keep hearing like trumpets. So I don't know if there's a funny thing about mariachis or trumpets. Like, so I'm hearing that. So I'm getting that whole thing here. I also keep seeing, thank you, I keep seeing the number two. So either the month of February or the second of the month might be significant. I also keep acknowledging, thank you, he's showing me a necklace, but he's actually like, it feels like it's a religious necklace, but it also feels like it's round. So there might be a round circle or medallion, or like it might even be like a Virgin Mary type thing, but it's almost like a round medallion shaped necklace that might be connected to that because he's making reference to that as well. He also keeps talking about how like his legs don't he can feel his legs now, or his legs aren't giving him issues. So I don't know if he was having difficulty with the circulation to his legs before he passed away, or if he couldn't feel them, or there was difficulty walking. But he's almost acknowledging like my legs feel fine, or I feel better. So there's a reference to that also. He also keeps thinking butterflies are connected to dad, so he's referencing the butterfly. He also is acknowledging. He's doing this, so he's making a symbol for baby. The way he's making the symbol might actually mean that there may be a baby coming into the family soon, or there may be a baby on the way. So he's acknowledging that. So I don't know if you're planning on having any children in the near future, or if there's a baby that y'all know of in the family that's about to come in, but he's making that gesture, so there might be a connection to that as well. Okay. Let's see, where are we going? Where are we going? Gloria. Gloria, hi Ferny. Any message from my son? It's been 13 months since he passed. I am really struggling with him gone from me. Yeah, so immediately I am hearing music. So I don't know if your son liked to play around with music, or there was a musical connection between you and your son, but I'm hearing music, so I'm kind of getting that vibe there. He also is messing with the radio, or messing with the system. So I don't know if you had something funny happen where the radio or the music changed by itself, where there was a weird change up, but he's acknowledging that. He also keeps referencing, thank you, also references the number 2 and the number 12. So I would say that either the month of February and the second of a month may be significant, and also the month of December, or the 12th may also be significant as well, because he's acknowledging that. He also keeps referencing I feel like I want to say a nickname or a name like Boy BB BB or Boypole or BB. It's almost like a BB sounding name. So it's a double B nickname. But I'm hearing that, so I don't know if there's a nickname that he had for you, or you had for him, or there's something about a nickname with the B double B. But I'm hearing that, so there's a connection there as well. There are 4 women in spirit with him, so he's got 4 older females in spirit. One of them, he's acknowledging that one of them had might have had diabetes, but may have passed away from complications of diabetes. She may have also been connected to like a sister energy. So there's a reference there as well. He also keeps acknowledging the folded shirt. Is it a shirt, or is it a folded blanket? I want to say it's a shirt. He's acknowledging the folded shirt. So I don't know if you've been keeping his shirt next to your bed, or you've been smelling it before you go to bed, or been like taking some time out to smell his shirt. But he's acknowledging this shirt and it being significant. He's releasing balloons, so I don't know if you also release balloons for him, because he's acknowledging that and making reference for that as well. He's also talking about the trip and not taking the trip, or having to cancel the trip. So I don't know if y'all recently were planning on taking a trip to do something, and y'all had to reschedule it, or you had to replan it. But he's like it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. So he's almost wanting to make that reference as well. Hmm. Norma Velasquez. Do you see me moving up in my company with a promotion soon? I don't see the promotion right now. What's interesting is I do think they're going to give you some additional like work, or some additional responsibilities. So I do think you're going to get some additional stuff. Here's the thing, because you're going to be like, well, if they're not paying me, or if they're not going to give me a promotion, what the hell do I want to do that for? Like, right? I get it. I get it. But here's the thing. I feel like someone might start prepping you, or preparing you to take over their role or their position. So even though you may not get a promotion right now, I feel like someone, and I want to say this is an older female, or this is a female, I'm sorry, not an older female, but a female. I feel like a female is going to be prepping, or planning, or preparing you and giving you some extra stuff to kind of line you up, and then you would actually be able to move in this person's position. But this may not happen until maybe next May or June, so this might be a while from now. But I do feel that there's going to be kind of a change out, and then you might have an opportunity to slide into that position and take over that. Okay. Adriana Perez. Any news from me, for me, or messages from my brother or grandpa. Yeah, so with your brother, I definitely am feeling your brother's energy around you. He keeps acknowledging, thank you. I don't know if he was, um, what's it called? Cremated, but he's showing me almost like I feel like I'm carrying someone's remains or I've got a piece of someone. So I don't know if y'all maybe have his hair or y'all have some of his remains in a little container, or there's so, almost like I feel like I have a piece of someone. So he's making reference to that or acknowledging that. So I'm just assuming, yeah, he may have been created or there might have been something that you have of his that is kind of like his remains in that way. He also keeps referencing, thank you, he gave you a flower or he brought you a flower somehow. So I don't know if you found a flower in a really weird place or someone just like randomly gave you a flower, but he's making me feel like, and it's just one. I feel like it's just, I don't feel like it's a bouquet. I feel like it's just one. So he's like handing you a flower. So he's acknowledging that. He's also referencing a celebration within 30 days. So there might be a birthday or a celebratory event happening within the 30-day period because he's like talking about this right now. So there's a reference there as well. He also keeps acknowledging that he doesn't, okay, he doesn't want y'all to think about him in pain, and he's like almost wanting to make sure y'all understand, like, I don't want y'all to think about me in pain, or I don't want y'all to be focused on that. He's like, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. He's drawing on my skin, so there might be two people who end up getting tattoos for him or may honor him with a tattoo, or there might be two tattoos that may go on someone, but he's acknowledging these two. He also references like a blue hat or blue cap. So I don't know if you have a blue cap or blue hat that belong to him, or if there's a significant blue cap or blue hat that would be special from him, or either that, or you have a cap that he got you, but there's a reference to this blue colored like cap or something like that as well, because he's making reference to that as well. Okay. He says he messed with your ear, he messed with your hair. So if you feel somebody touching your ear or like a sound or like a thing, he's acknowledging that that would be him. Okay. All right, guys, I'm getting close to my deadline here. Kylie Joe Ballesteros. Hey, Ferny, any messages from my spirit guides? Thanks. Yeah, so your main guide. Okay. Um, you might have a chance to. Okay. Um, I want to say this is early next year. There might be a situation coming up early next year where you might have to move or you might have to change your living situation. It might just be temporary, so it may not be a big thing, but you might not be in your home for a little bit. You might have to make some temporary arrangements, but this comes up around like spring, early next year, springtime-ish. So be prepared for that and don't be surprised if you have to spend a little time away because it might not be the easiest thing to have to go through. They're also acknowledging that by summertime, you might have the financial resources or there might be a better financial situation to help to stabilize that situation at that time. But again, like spring, there might be some changes with your living situation. Summertime, you might be in a better financial place and then you can possibly get that stable. Okay. Marie De La Rosso Hartley. Hi, Fernie. Does my husband have a message for me? Yes. So he is acknowledging. I don't know if you have a mug or a cup that was his special mug or a cup, and you sometimes use it yourself, but there's a reference to like, I'm drinking out of the cup, or I see you drinking from the cup. So there's a reference from that. He also keeps acknowledging, thank you. There's a picture of you two together, but y'all, this would have been like in your earlier years, and I don't know if one of you was half asleep or like making a funny face and the other one looks normal, but he's making fun or he's laughing about this picture from when y'all were younger, or this was the early years, but he's like making fun of it, and it's almost like one of y'all has a really funny face on because he's acknowledging this picture as well. It would be inside a vehicle or inside like the back of a vehicle or the back of a truck because he's acknowledging this picture like that as well. He also keeps referencing the month of 11 and the month of 12. So November and December are going to be significant or important because he's bringing those up as being important. He's also talking about special ornament or a special, like a special, it's like, you know what, it's almost reminding me of like, you know, back when kids were in school and they used to make ornaments for Christmas before Christmas break, and they would make some out of paper or something out of something like that. I don't know if someone made an ornament out of paper or they made like they printed something, cut it out, and then put it on the tree, but he's acknowledging something that might have a connection to that might be special or maybe significant, because he's referencing that and being important. He also keeps acknowledging the name J-O, so there might be a Johnny or John or Joe that might be connected to him, or that he might be wanting to acknowledge or say hello to, so there's a reference there. He also keeps acknowledging being with his grandfather, so there might be a grandfather in spirit, because he's saying he's with the grandfather, so he's acknowledging that as well. He also wants you to know that he tickled your feet, or he messed with your feet. So if you had a weird experience where someone was touching your feet or tickling your feet, and you thought that somebody was there, he's acknowledging that that would have been him. Okay. All right, guys, I think I am done. So I love you all. I will be here. I will actually be on Instagram on Wednesday, so y'all can check me out there, so we can get some questions in there. And there we can do video, so I can bring you on in video form. And then I will be on Instagram again on Friday, and then I will be here on YouTube and Facebook on Saturday next week. So I will see y'all then. Until then, take care, y'all. Okay.